Well, hey there, fellow streakers. It's good to be back with you at the beginning of a new year when you've set all your New Year's resolutions and have already broken them. We're going to talk to you a little bit about how streaking can maybe help you a little bit with that. But more importantly, right now at this moment, even though that's really important, more importantly, right now at this moment, I'm back with Talan, our Chief Marketing Officer, and I have him on, and we are going to talk about the whole rebrand. If you've gone out to the streaking site, you've seen something new, fantastic, and absolutely wonderful, something we've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. We're going to get the inside scoop from Talan, so let's start streaking. Hey, Talan, it's good to have you.
Hey, Jeff. Happy 2021.
2022, actually.
2022. Oh, my goodness. See, I always did this in school. It's where you write the new year in elementary school, and you always did the old one, and it felt so wrong.
Yeah, I know.
Move to the next
to
one.
move to the next one.
I don't think I've processed the last 3 years, so I think that's 2022. Here we are.
Well, 2022 has brought to streaking just a whole new look, a whole new brand. We've gone away from our honeycombs and what we want to be, and we've just transitioned it completely to this new brand. So we got to talk about that. You've got to take us down the journey of what it was that happened and how come we decided to rebrand and what that means for the company going forward. So let's start here. Take us first of all through when you came on as Chief Marketing Officer. I mean, you were okay about the logo and the colors and stuff, but you saw something that was missing there. And I remember you coming to me and say, "Hey, Jeff, would you mind if I started to look at this?" Because, and I love this about you, Talan, because you're always sensitive to the fact that, hey, I know that you and Jamie have been doing this for a while. You started it, but can I look at this? and I feel like that's your way of saying it's nice, but we need a little bit of an upgrade. So tell me your thought process. What'd you go through?
So here's the product streaking up here that we have. And I wanted our branding to match that level of what we offer and how real and effective and powerful it is.
Yeah.
And so when we look at brands that are very recognizable, they have an image and it's coherent. And so what we were struggling with is on streaking, we didn't really have rules, brand guidelines of what fonts, what colors do we use. We're kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping it's going to stick. And
I would say, Talan, I would humbly say it wasn't even spaghetti. It was some version of flour that we were hoping would change into something.
Something that doesn't stick. We were hoping it would stick.
Right.
And so
exactly.
This got to me, and it was really bothering me because we had this amazing product. We have something that really affects people in the way that they live. We need our branding to match that.
Right,
and
right.
From the beginning, I've always made the analogy of when you think of Apple, you don't think of the fruit anymore. And that's what we're trying to do with streaking. We're trying to get people to understand when I say I streak, it does not mean that. It means that I make conscious, consistent actions that create life-changing results.
Right.
And so we needed to find a way to match that. And so if you've been to the website, if you've been to social media, you have now seen the hours and hours of work to rebrand and make streaking match the powerfulness of its methodology and of the company.
So how did you go about deciding, because I know you hired a graphic designer and it really, graphic designer, I think is really understating what Jace brought to the table. Tell us a little bit about that relationship and how it was that you brought him into the picture, into the fold to help us out with this.
So I went to Utah State University, and at the time, Jace was a friend of mine. We actually started the Cache Valley Rollers. It's a disco skating club. Every Tuesday night.
Yeah. Woo. The Cache Valley Rollers. Talan, I did not know this about you.
Yeah, we
like four wheels roller skating.
Four wheels roller skating. Like
wow.
Every Tuesday night in Logan, Utah, small college town, there's a place called the Fun Park, and every Tuesday night from 9 to 11, there was a discount for college students to skate for $5. So we started going every Tuesday, and then we're like, we need to make a club. And so we would go to the quad the first week of school and recruit whoever we could who wanted to join the Cache Valley Rollers. And we had like 200-something people sign up. And so we started this movement at Utah State where it was the thing to do on Tuesday at 9 o'clock. If you're not at Skaties, that's what we called it. You were missing out.
You were missing out.
Red Bull eventually sponsored it. So you came, you got free Red Bull, and everyone's skating around to 80s music.
No way.
So Jace was the graphic designer to design our shirts or whatever.
For the Cache Valley Rollers.
Yeah, the Cache Valley Rollers. And it was the coolest logo. And it was really fun to be a part of it. So it
So
was
how did
so
you get to
fun.
know Jace? How did what through this, or was
Just
it
through
before this?
friends. Yeah,
Through
so
friends.
we
Okay.
just met, and then through this we came closer. And he was really talented with graphic design, and so we both go our separate ways. And I keep seeing the stuff that he's doing for other brands. And what Jace specializes in, it's not just graphic design, but he rebrands people, and he has an art of translating what companies are trying to communicate into their visual design. And he didn't learn that. I've talked to him. He did not learn that at Utah State. He's like, this is just something that I learned on my own time and I was passionate
Really?
about. I
Wow.
learned how to design
Yeah.
at Utah State, but I didn't learn how to do brand stuff and translate that. So
Yeah.
I reached
Wow.
out to him and I was like, we need help to
Hey, fellow
translate.
Cash Roller Valley participant, we
Yeah.
need your help.
Like, Jason, I know you've done this.
You
and I've
skater.
seen you do it for other brands. Like, he's done it for a bunch of coffee brands and a well-known shoe company. And so I was like, Jace is really talented. I think this is designers are important because they have kind of a style too. And so I liked his style, and I felt like it would meet the demographic that we try to reach. It would meet the expectations we have of the brand and what
Yeah.
I think would work out. And so I was like, he would be a great fit. So we reached out to him and contracted him to rebrand Streaking.
And I remember the first time I met Jace, and over Zoom, because we were in the middle of the pandemic when we hired him and brought him on. And so over Zoom, we're talking to him, and I'm like, I don't know if Talan really knows this guy. because and let me say why. And this is no diss to Jace. Jace is a very even-keeled, he'll listen to you. I remember because he interviewed each one of us
Yeah.
and was asking us questions that we were answering to try and describe what it was that streaking was to the world. And we're just and he asks these questions, and he didn't really follow up with much. He didn't restate much. And I just thought, wow, I wonder where this is going. And then I remember the first presentation he made to us. And the way he does it is just really phenomenal. He builds you up to this moment. He had all the answers to our questions. Actually the first time that we met with him as a group, he said, "This is what I see from the interviews. Is there anything else?" And we kind of talked with him there. Am I right? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And he didn't have any suggestions for us yet as far as what that
Not
was.
trying to guide us. He was trying to understand.
Yeah.
Like if I think of somebody like Jace is the most, he's who I want to be when I grow up. Just his demeanor.
Yeah.
Like
Even
chill.
killed.
Yeah, just
Very friendly, just really a pleasure to talk with. And for me, I'm like, is this guy really going to do what he needs to do? I mean, because for me, I'm excitable, energetic, and let's get this done. And for him, he was just, let's just make this happen in the way that it needs to. So he went away from that, and then he brought back this presentation. And in the first presentation, I mean, what did you think? I mean, as you went through it with him?
of our final designs.
Not our final designs, the one in between.
Oh, so the one in between were the three options.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So Jace came back with a presentation, and what he does is he constructs three different brand identities. And what that means is there's different fonts, different colors, different icons, different layouts. And from that, you have to choose one that is closest to your vision, and you have 2 rounds of revisions to go and make it what you want. And from that, there was one that I was leaning towards, but it didn't blow my socks off. I was like, this isn't there yet. And Jace knows this. He's the professional. He knows that, like, this isn't it. This is just a stepping stone to get where you need to be. And I think we can understand that things happen in steps.
Right.
Consecutive, consistent steps. We get that. So we're
we do.
understanding.
In the extreme, we understand that.
Yeah. So we saw that these different these different concepts. And what was your reaction to them, Jeff?
So, like you, I was first of all impressed with his understanding of what streaking is and how streaking works and what it was that we were trying to communicate out to our audience. Yeah. I was also a little bit reserved because what he showed us, I wasn't convinced that it was better than what we already had. Okay. And that was Jamie as well. Jamie came along and was like, I like what we have. He hasn't shown me anything. He's maybe captured a few of the sayings and maybe a little bit of some fun in some different things that he showed us with stickers and, digital assets. But Jamie was really of the opinion that, what if I don't like this? Because she and I talked about it, and she said, I came away from that meeting going, what if I like what we have? and I said, well, we keep what we have, and it was a sunk cost, and it just proved that we like what we have and we move forward. So so when we came away from that meeting, I didn't know. I was like, we may not get anything more.
And I got that feeling from Jamie, which made me feel sick to my stomach that I just brought a designer on and we end up keeping our original design. But then we get the next presentation.
Yes. Now walk us through that one, because the next presentation, and we were all a little bit on eggshells. In fact, Jamie didn't even want to come to it because she was like, you guys just make the decision. I can't do this because I love what we have. And I'm like, no, you got to be a part of this. You're as much a part of this, co-author on the book, everything else. You've got to make this decision with us. So that's where we were when we sat down.
So we get this presentation, and we've kind of posted this to social media at this point. You can see it now live on Instagram about kind of the walkthrough of the brand, because we want you to be a part of this. We want you to own this. You're a streaker. And so this is your brand. This is your identity, because really you're wanting to become a better person, and you're doing that by the vehicle of streaking. So this is your brand. This is what we're representing you.
Yeah.
And so when we get this presentation, the first screen says, streaking is the universally known representation of the rebellious, the daring, and the unexpected. The ultimate act of celebration. And then below that, in parentheses, it says, brace yourselves.
Oh, at this moment, both Jamie and I are like, oh no, he's going there. He's going to a place where we didn't want to go, and especially Jamie, right? I mean, she did not want to go there.
Not want to go near streaking and the lewdness or the crudeness of it.
You're right.
So the next slide is a plethora of pictures of people streaking in the nude with sensor bars over the important sensor bar parts. So
right.
I'm in my seat cringing at this moment, because I know Jamie's extreme feelings on the subject of like, this is too far. We're too much into streaking. And so we go to the next slide, and what we see is he highlights the arms of every single streaker. And the arms are in the air, raised above their head. And I'm like, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And so then we go to the next.
And it was interesting to me, because when I caught that, when he showed us that, and I'm like, I wonder what he's doing there. I mean, I see that, but it was I didn't know where he was going. I was a little bit, all of us are kind of like, wonder what this is about. All right, so keep going.
So in red, he highlights the arms their arms are above their head in the air, kind of like celebrating running streaking. So the next slide says this: while we operate under a different definition of streaking, our brand is built with the same energy and is meant for people who dare to do things differently. And then on that next slide, it says, achieving real change in your life can generate just as much joy and excitement as other less acceptable activities. Our hope is to inspire those feelings in each streaker that joins our movement.
So let's just pause there for just a second. We got to pause there, because these are powerful words. And as he built this, while we operate under a different definition of streaking, our brand is built with the same energy and is meant for people who dare to do things differently. That just hit me with a ton of bricks. I was immediately impacted.
We don't do things the same. We do things differently. We are the group of people who on vacation will keep a streak alive.
Absolutely.
We are the people who, when you're sick or something comes up, you keep your streak alive.
And if you're tired of habits, you might want to try streaking, because that was
invigorating.
The thing. Yeah. And we looked at it too, as this world of habits has, inundated everyone, and everyone feels that they've failed at habits in one way or another. All of a sudden realize that I can do something differently about it, and it's within me. And that's where I loved this next slide, which he said, achieving the real change in your life can generate just as much joy and excitement. And you and I, Talan, and as well as Jamie and all, hundreds and thousands of other streakers, and soon to be millions and hundreds of millions of streakers, have felt this in their life, where they feel the joy and the excitement of the activities that they hope those feelings inspire, that every streaker joins that movement. And when we see each other, we're excited about it. I can't tell you the number of times when I sit down with someone and we start talking and they tell me about their streak and how it's changed their life and what it is that they've done and why they chose to do it. It just is this energy and this enthusiasm. And I go away from it thinking, I want to keep streaking. I want to do this even more.
Yeah, we've built this community of streakers who are doing something daily, weekly, and monthly to become better.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. And
Yeah.
so this brand is now going to represent that. So on the next slide, we get pictures of people celebrating. And they
Yeah.
all are in like beautiful places. They're in the ocean surfing. One's on a mountaintop. One's sitting in the middle of the road with the sunset. A little girl in Hawaii. And they're all celebrating, and they all have one common features. Their arms are all in the air above their head, similarly to the streakers in the previous slide. And he highlights their arms and the shape that they're in of the celebration, like your arms above your head. And at this point, it started to make sense to me.
Yeah, so now we're starting to get it, huh? Now, and I think this was I was trying to read Jamie during this, and it'll be interesting to get her comments on this. It's just you and I right now, but it'll be interesting to get. I was reading her, and it was poker face. I saw nothing. I'm like, oh man, I don't know what's happening. Where are we going on this?
We came in from the last one thinking like it's not there. It's
Yeah.
not it. And
Yeah.
so I think we had a little bit of what's the word? We were a little reserved,
Yes, very much so, and Jamie
maybe
was
had-
very much so.
a little of preconceived notions
Yes.
of what we were thinking. So from that, of everyone in these beautiful places celebrating, raising their arms in joy, he then says on the next slide, our mark is a visual expression of that feeling, a synthesis of celebration and achievement that acts as an ownable and unifying banner for our community. And then he reveals the new
And then he reveals the mark. And
the mark. And it's a person raising their arms above their head.
just like
If you
that.
haven't seen it, go to streakymastery.com, go to our social media sites and look at it, because it is powerful, in my opinion.
Highly
it embodies what streaking is.
Absolutely. So when I saw this at first glance, I was like, I was speechless. And speechless in the sense that we weren't really saying anything, but speechless, and my head went completely blank. I had no words to describe what I was seeing on screen. And fellow streakers, you who are listening to this right now, you will see that the podcast has been rebranded with this mark as well.
True.
And the mark, so the mark just captured that whole feeling of excitement and of accomplishment and of victory. Right? I mean, didn't you feel
Because
that?
the main thing that you want people to know about law number 3 is create a community. It is not, the sole purpose of it is not to be accountable. Like, it's not someone to hold you accountable, not to make sure you need to do this, keep your streak alive. The whole purpose of creating a community is to create a space where you can celebrate your wins.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like embodies that this logo embodies that emotion and that feeling of, we're not here to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
We're not here to force you to do your streak. We're here to celebrate when you do it.
So I think it was at this moment that he paused and he asked us. Didn't he ask us right here, or did he go through the rest of the presentation? Did he?
I don't remember.
I don't
think he
remember
might have
either.
asked us.
I think he might have asked us. Oh, hold on, I got to think through this. You know what? No, I think he went on and went through the rest of the presentation, but then we came back to this. We won't go exactly with what we did as far as the rest of the presentation. We'll talk about that in just a second. But he asked us then, after he was done, and both you and I looked at Jamie. I mean, because that was, we were both.
She's the one who has the feelings.
You're exactly.
About what she was wanting.
And do you remember what she said, the very first words out of her
I
mouth?
think you'll remember better than me, but wow. Or
You ready? It was, I love this.
I felt immediate rush of relief at that moment, Jeff.
Talan, I sleep with the woman, and I felt immediate rush of relief.
You're like, okay, this was worth the money we spent on this. It was
Yes.
worth every penny
Every
and more. We could have paid so much more for this. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was exactly that. It was at that moment. And then she went on to say why she loved it, because it truly does capture what it is that you feel when you are streaking. Anyone who is listening to this right now, you know that when you've gotten to day number 95 or day number 103 of your laughably simple activity, and it's been consistent and consecutive over that number of days, you feel it. You want to raise your hands. Yeah. I remember when we hit day 1,000 of our run walk streak. We were on the Greenway in Georgia. You remember the Greenway in Georgia where
Yep.
with all the spiders? You remember with all the spiders. That was the fall time.
I remember the spiders.
Yeah. In the spring, there's no spiders. It's beautiful. But we hit our 1,000th day, and it was at we start, and I remember this exactly. Where you start picking up the greenway in Georgia, the mile marker is 8.2. And then the way that we walk is you go down in numbers, 8.1, 8.0. So we knew that when we got to 7.7, because that was a half a mile, right? Because we're going down, we hit the streak because you have to walk a half mile back. You see what I mean? And that was a thousandth day. Right at that, we raised our hands. We've done it.
Did you really?
Yeah, just like that.
And
1,000 days
now, like 2,000.
Yeah, we're up in we're 6 years into the streak now, and it's
you
massive.
Did that. That was what you did when you reached your 1,000th day streak. I didn't know this.
Yeah, you didn't know. This is exactly what we did. We were just like, because I turned to Jamie, I said, I want to let you know we just hit 1,000 days, and we were both like, yes.
That is beautiful. That's our logo. That is amazing. Because that's the feeling you get. It's a true feeling. So when I saw this before, like I said, the streaking product that we have,
right,
and the app and everything is way up here.
Yeah.
And what we had is here. And as we started to get presentation to presentation, it was finally at this moment where I was like, we are up there now. It is our brand represents the quality that we now have.
So now walk us through. So we got the mark, and by the way, Talan immediately started designing, and we have at the streaking store. If you haven't, the word just left me. Visited. I don't know where I was going, but if you've not yet visited the streaking store, head in there. There's a lot of great merch that has this symbol on it, and it is awesome. And as you look at, there'll be the mark, there'll be streaking. There's some very cool merch. We're going to have more. We have streak sheets that are in there now, scratch off streak sheets for kids that you can go and you can buy a set of 12 for, basically 12 months of the year and have a streak sheet that counts consecutively. Kids will put their streak at the top, and then they'll put the date that they started it. And you can start them at any date. They're not numbered by month. We just provide you a pack of 12 so that you have a full year's worth of streaking. But I'll tell you what, the scratch off, kids love it. They think they're winning the lottery when they're having these. And by the way, adults love it too. The other thing that we've done is we've put some pictures underneath each of the scratch offs. So it's kind of fun to see what's revealed underneath. We've got animal packages. We've got different fun scenery packages that you can order. All of those things in the Streak store that have this mark highly prominently highlighted because it just celebrates how significant this is, Like
I was thinking when I saw this, would I wear this on a t-shirt? Because I want to talk about streaking to everyone.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm passionate about. So when I saw what he presented as, like, I would wear this on a t-shirt. I want this in a sweatshirt. I want this in sweatpants. I want this in socks.
I don't wear caps, but I do want a cap with this on there. On it. Yeah. I don't know if we have that in the Streak store yet, but that would be one that I'd love to have added there.
Noted. Adding it tomorrow. Adding it yesterday. So when we saw this, and he presented it, this logo, the new icon on the screen of what it would look like in app form, and I was like, I love it even more. And then he started introducing stickers.
Now this took it to another level because at this point talk to us a little bit about the colors. Why the colors that are in there? And I know that's a little out of order as far as what he showed us, but what was it about the color, the black and white and the colors that we have now? Just walk us through that a little bit.
He wanted to convey that we don't want to look cheap. We don't want to look like it's too childish to seem, because when people, they make assumptions. Unfortunately, in everything we do, we look at something and we either say that that's a value or that's cheap. We do it based on prices. We do it on everything. And so the visual representation of streaking had to be very carefully considered because we want it to look powerful, but we also want it to look fun and inviting. So what Jace did was he did a heavy, we put heavy weight on blacks, light pewter, and white. And then the accent colors were these very vibrant blues and then orange, green, and yellow. And what that does is it allows us to add a little bit of color to streaking. And we later noticed the parts where he added the color, and that was where the stickers and streaks came in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So continue forward with the stickers, because this was another. So this took it another level up. I mean, so the mark represented what it was that we felt, and we love looking at it. We love wearing the mark, but now the stickers became something else that added the vibrance, I guess I would say.
So he goes through the presentation, and we get to this page, and it just shows 6 circles that are stickers, and there's streak details on them, and it follows the curvature of the circle inside of that circle. So on the top, on the curvature, it says a streak, which is sweat once a day. And below, following the curvature on the very bottom of that same sticker, it says 25 days. And at this point, I'm like, huh, how is this going to be used?
Yeah.
Like, this is really interesting. How is it going to be used? And then he goes on to the next page, and he shows badges. And this is where it's like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Like, how is this going to be used? And you want to explain the badges, Jeff?
So one of the things that we've always thought about, or when we started to research streaking and streakers, is we looked for people that had consecutive wins. I mean, the first thing that you can see is consecutive wins and how many consecutive wins they've had. One of the individuals who I love to highlight and talk about is Jahangir Khan, who won 555 matches in a row for 10 years, basically, won the British Open for 10 years in squash. Now, a lot of people in the United States don't know this, but our listeners and our streakers in Europe, in the UK, in that area know squash very well. And in fact, Jahangir Khan is probably a household name there because he is this athlete of phenomenal success, 555 wins in a row, didn't lose once in that consecutive. And when Jace brought up these stickers, one of the badges that we have here, circle in this beautiful blue, that one of our blues that we have, it says the 555 Club Streaking Mastery with the symbol in the middle. And I was taken right there. And so there's also other streakers that we have. For example, the Major League Baseball, or the Major League Streak, which has a little baseball in the middle, but 2,130. And I'd say that's probably, he has 2,130, which is Lou Gehrig's, which we'll take. That's one badge. 2,131 would be Cal Ripken's, but Cal Ripken's, I think, we need to go up to 2,632. Because that was his final streak. And then the other one that he showed us was the badge was the 10Xer, 10 active streaks. That, I mean, those three alone just blew my mind. But this totally opened up the whole area of the splash of color comes as you reach some of these different milestones.
And when he saw this, the immediate thing I was like, when I reach 10 active streaks, I want a badge to appear in the app.
Yeah.
And so we started thinking of like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a great way to reward people for their hard work and labor and their streaks.
Because we could have that one active streak. I mean, once you're past a certain number of days, you get a badge for 1 active streak, for 3 active streaks, for 7 active streaks. I mean, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because it's
the turkey
just so
streak?
cool. Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
On Thanksgiving. Like, I'm just saying there's so many badges. And when he started presenting this, I'm like, this is going to be a great way to reward our streakers with badges that show their hard work and effort. Because when you reach day 1,000, you in person went like this.
Yes.
But you want to share it with others. And so
absolutely.
we're make it a little bit easier. So I was like, okay, great. How are we going to use this? So he goes on to show us a little bit more. And before he shows us how the stickers are used, he then presents us with something that was really different as well. And the board says, the slide says, by continuing with the plain word streaking, we've developed a banner system that helps in creating dynamic layouts, delivering brand messaging, and integrating a lighthearted aspect into our visual system. The next slide again goes back to when I cringe because I know Jamie hated this, but it's another man running with a sensor bar streaking. He's a sensor bar across his buttocks. And what Jace does is in the slide, it's just a small little sensor bar, and then he expands it to fill the whole screen. Then he changes it to a banner. And then we see a banner then appear. And at this moment, Jeff, you're like, I have an idea for this banner.
Yep.
And what was that idea?
I was like, and you'll see on our website now, across the top is a scrolling banner of, we have thousands and thousands of streaks that are public and that we don't mention who it is, but it's the streak and the number of days or weeks or months that they've kept that streak alive. And that just scrolls across the top so that you know you're not alone and you can get all these fantastic ideas of how to streak. It's like the stock market ticker. You know, I'm looking at that and I'm seeing all these streaks and people that have joined in the streaking movement and how they're counting up, and in any number of areas from professional to personal, from spiritual to family, all of those, you could get these great ideas and take them in any direction. What I see is that streaking now is the floor to any change you want to make in your life, because you can stand on those streaks to reach for any goal, whatever that goal is.
So when we go to the website, you can now gain inspiration from people in that banner system. And I was like, okay, Jace, that's a cool added element. Did not expect that. But
Not
the
at
one
all.
question that I kept coming back to was, if I were to see streaking on a billboard or walk by it in the tube in London or the subway in New York, and it just said streaking, how would I know what it is?
Yeah.
And so he goes on to the last slide and he shows a beautiful picture, and it says on the left hand side in text, improve yourself, have fun, meet new people, overcome challenges, create a new life. And then on the right is a picture of a woman with streaking on the bottom, and all these stickers all over it. And
So
when I
cool.
saw that, I was like, that's how you use the stickers. If
Yes.
you were to walk by this billboard or this ad, you would see streaking, and then you'd see these stickers, and one says read one sentence 365 days, and you see another that says sweat once a day, and then another saying compliment a stranger 246 days. Oh, these are streaks.
I get it.
I get it. Streaking, cool. I'm gonna download the app. So I was like, this is exactly, because when people hear streaking right now, and I'm sure Apple faced the same thing when you said, yeah, Apple, they thought of the fruit apple at that point. So we're at that point in the beginning where you hear streaking, you think not what we're talking about. And so
Yeah.
I loved the stickers integrated.
Right there with you. So we are excited to get a billboard in the tube in London, or on the in the subways of New York, or just flying the banner high. And I think that this now fully represents what it is that we feel, what it is that we see, what it is that we think when we talk about streaking. And that's why we wanted to pass it on to you. We hope that as you look at and download the streaking app, because the streaking app now has been totally rebranded with this as well. And I don't know if it's been released yet. We're probably not quite there yet as far as, but when you get the new version of the app, which will be out in sometime in this January, we're thinking the third week, I think is when we're there.
So.
You'll see the app will be rebranded with all of this. And just know that all of it has meaning. I mean, even the categories are going to look differently. Categories, communities. We call them categories/communities because we wanted people to really be able to associate exactly what it was that we were asking, because every streak belongs to a community of some sort or another. And therefore, you can identify when you set up that streak, it will ask you, what community do you want this to belong to? And there's a list of, a couple of, I don't know how many there are in there. It's like 50 or 60 categories or communities to which you can choose to have that streak be a part of. And by the way, when you choose that community, it doesn't mean that it's public at that point. It just means that that's the part of the of your community that you want to be a part of if you make it public. But what that does is give you now an opportunity to know that, hey, there's a lot of other people in this community. Now, let's say you come across a community, and sorry, just a little segue onto this for a second. You want to create a community. You can submit that to us, and we'll look at it. And if it's viable, it's something that's maybe not on there or whatever, we'll make that a community, and you can start that community. And we'd love for you to start a community. Like there's a community of runners out there. There's a community of nutritionists out there. There's a community of education. There's a community of sleep. There's a community of faith and savings. All these different communities that you could join. And when you start to follow a community on the app, then you get to see all kinds of different streaks that are going on. Now, that was one of your things, Talan, is you wanted to be able to see other people's streaks. Yeah. Sorry, we're taking a little bit of a diversion into the app, but I think this is a good thing to talk about as we get ready for the release.
Well, it comes out with the new rebranding, new design, and the reason and intention behind all this, because everything we've done has massive, important decisions and intentions behind it. So my dad actually brought this. He's like, I want to see what other people are doing. I need inspiration. And I was like, you're right. I want to be able to go type in somebody that I know. Let's say I want to see Jeff. What does Jeff do? What does Jeff have? What are his streaks? Or where's Jamie's streaks?
Was it encouraging when your dad looked at my streaks, or was it discourage? Was he like, oh,
no,
those
he's
are...
like, that is so cool. Like, that is so amazing. Glad. He's like, wow, he's been doing it for a long time. And I think that shows people, though, it's like, wow, he does that every day. Like, that's important. Like, and so that was a really cool thing to show.
Yeah. You bring up another aspect of that as well. Who would you rather get coaching and mentoring from? Someone who says they do it, or someone who's actually doing it? You know what I mean? Because like, for example, if I want coaching and mentoring on social media, I'm going to come to you. I can look through this and I say, Talan's been at this now for 3 years. He has some. I could go to you and say, could you help me out with social media as far as this is what I want to do? and I know that you've been doing it for, 735 days or 865 or 972, that speaks volumes in my mind as compared to just saying, yeah, I do that, I'm part of it. Or even saying I've accomplished these things, because accomplishments sometimes can come just because you exist. And that's okay. But this shows you that, yeah, I've been doing it and I do it every day.
So when my dad says, like, we need a way so that you can search people and see their streaks. So you'll be able to gain inspiration. So you can search my name, Talan David, on the streaking app and look at what streaks I have that are public. You can look at Jeff's. And by doing that, you gain inspiration of like, oh, I want to adopt that streak.
Yeah.
I should probably get on this too. And so that was a really important decision to go for in the app. And so if it's not out yet, but here's my challenge to everyone listening or watching this. Download the version currently available on the App Store or Google Play and wait patiently to see the difference.
It'll blow you away. Absolutely.
Yeah, it will be a shock to how much work and effort we've put into this and the intention behind it, because now it matches where we're at with the product we offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Talan, this has been a great journey, and one that I expect will continue for much, much longer. The new rebranding of the app and also of the website and everything that we have with streaking. If you want to become part of the movement, please do. Just start a streak. That's all you need to do. Download the app, start tracking it. Basically let your close friends know that you're streaking, and it will just change your life. I love this. I'll leave with this little quote from Jace. He says about our sticker system. Our sticker system functions not only as the graphic language that ties the streaking brand together, but is also a visual representation of the very thing that makes us unique. And when we talk about us, we mean all of us as streakers. So let's keep this movement going. Let's work to change the world one streaker at a time. Talan, it's really been great talking with you today. Anything else to say?
I say get a streaking t-shirt and wearing to the grocery store. It's nothing more exhilarating. I wore my streaking sweatshirt on the plane to Hawaii for Christmas, and it was amazing. So just do it. Change people's mind. Let's make the world a better place with the word streaking rather than what people know it as.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening in. I appreciate it. If you want to talk to us or have any questions about streaking, want any advice, download the streaking app, because we're going to be in there socially. Start following Talan, myself, Jamie. You can follow us. You can see what we do on our streaks. We post every day. In fact, we have a team streak for our entire organization that at least 3 people post on the streaking app daily. And you'll see all kinds of great information there. So download the streaking app. You'll start to see that as we post in there, as we upgrade it and go to the new community. And or you can email us, Jeffrey, Jeffery, at streakingmastery.com, or Jamie, Jami, at streakingmastery.com, and she'll be back with us again. This was just Talan and I this time. Or Talan's always willing and ready to hear from you, Talan at streakingmastery.com. Until next time, keep streaking.
It's the